Hey, it's Pastor Fred. Welcome to the Follow Through. We are listening to God. We're also living for Him. So hit that subscribe button and share this with somebody in your life over the next couple of weeks, really. We're looking at being followers of Jesus and how do we do that, but also help others to do that, right? So be disciple makers, but also, right, disciple makers who make disciples who make disciples. You see how that works? That's really why we're at where we're at. Is because people's lives were affected by Jesus. They believe that He died, believe that He rose for them. And so what happens is the Spirit stirs in their hearts and they look at the Word of God and they're like, man, people need to know this. I want people to follow Him like I'm following Him. I want them to have the life that I have. This new life in Jesus. So that's what we're talking about. And we've been really talking about this week, focusing on our lives and what sermon is that preaching? Like, how does God use how I live and how you live? Because we know that there are people in our lives that just boss us around. There's people that just tell us information and tell us to do things, but we really respect the people who not only tell us what to do, but show us how to do it, and that are willing even to get down into, right, get their hands dirty and roll up their sleeves and be right alongside of us. When I used to drive a forklift and worked in warehouses, it was really cool to see managers and other people who would be willing to do that, man. If a truck needed to be loaded and I was up against it, you know, they'd be right there, right alongside me. But the person that goes, hey, I need you to do that, and I don't really care. I mean, there's a disconnect there. So our example is huge. And today we're going to see probably the ultimate example, and that is Jesus in John chapter 13, verse 15, where He washes the disciples' feet, like one of the most demeaning tasks ever, right? So if you had your house and you had people over, you'd have some servants whose job it was to wash the feet of your guests, right? You didn't do it yourself. Right? Maybe you provided a basin or something like that, but you weren't going to like literally get down and wash their feet. But Jesus does just that because He wants us to see that He not only taught those things. He said, remember, Jesus said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. The least in the kingdom is actually the greatest, right? He talked about in God's economy and the way God works in His kingdom, when it comes to His role, He's the one who reigns. All of us take a back seat to that. And we are the ones who benefit from His great love and His great forgiveness. So it's not about us. And so Jesus didn't just teach that over and over and over again, but He actually showed them. It was in the upper room. He washed their feet. And He says in verse 15, He says, I have given you an example. So remember that? Remember what I did? Don't forget it. I did it so that you also should do as I have done to you. Now, that doesn't mean that we always have to, we don't wash people's feet anymore. Right? People take a shower and they do other things, but there's that same mindset that we can have that says, hey, how can I serve you? Because Jesus died for me, because He rose for me, He has set me free. And so you know what? There'd be nothing better in my life for me to help you to do what you need to do. I want you to know that He died for you. I want you to know that you're saved, that I want you to have that love and that forgiveness. See, that's the mindset that Jesus is saying, where you put other people first. Why? Because God has locked in your eternity with Him. He's adopted you. He's claimed you as His own. And that is who you are. And so you don't have to play the power game, right? You don't have to be like, man, that's beneath me. There's nothing beneath you. If it's going to help somebody, or if it's going to make a difference to them, you're going to be there. And let me just say that example, that living out of the truth is so incredibly powerful. And I want you to take some time today to think about the people in your life who have done that for you and just how it has changed you. And just see, like, Lord, how can I have that mindset in my life? Knowing that I'm loved and forgiven, right? So I'm not doing this out of guilt. But what if I could show people by how I live that everything in the Scriptures is true? That Jesus is alive and He's in my heart and He is just guiding me to help you. I just pray that we, again, are all about that every single day. All right, have a great one, and we will talk to you next time.